So, what comes up for you when you think about your relationships and
Mm.
how being a therapist, training to become a therapist has influenced or changed the relationships that you find yourself in?
Yeah, I think it's in a way it's made them, I want to say, easier, but also harder, which I know
Mm.
just madness, but
I feel like I know exactly what you mean,
yeah,
though.
easier in that, how would I split it up? Easier in that I know what kind of relationships I want. I know what relationships I need, and they're reciprocal ones. So I think during training there was definitely a period of recognizing I don't know if I need this person in my life, or having those realizations of, hang on, why am I the person that's always buying lunch? Like wanting to, stay my friend, and I'll pay lunch, I'll buy lunch, almost kind of bribing people to be my friends. It felt like bribing people to be my friends. And then experimenting, and this is where it gets really difficult, experimenting with what happens if you just show up without wanting or asking anything from them, in terms of, look, I'll buy lunch every time, and seeing how that friendship changes. And more often than not, people disappear. Um,
It's the risky part, isn't
yeah,
it? I
exactly.
feel
That's
like a lot
what,
of clients struggle with that
yeah, yeah.
too. It's taking the
You-
risk. What happens when I try a different route?
exactly. Yeah. And that happens so much with like relationships and parents as well, because those ones often are um and obviously friendships can be strong. I have a couple of friends that I consider family, but usually I might think that a romantic relationship or a relationship with your family, the bonds are strong. So it's even
Mm,
more scary to experiment with what happens if I don't send this message, or what happens if
yeah,
I ask for something. Um,
yeah. The
that's been
stakes are a lot higher, aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah. But knowing if I want something, I'm allowed to ask for it. And they're allowed to respond in whatever way suits them as well.
So do you feel like training helped you feel more confident to take those risks
Yeah,
in
definitely.
doing things a different way?
Yeah. I think my it was in training, but I was in my own therapy, and I did a post about this a while ago about how I was going to break up with my now husband, because he kept on, and you'll remember this because we were in class together.
Yeah,
Um, we spoke about it lots, and
because I'm
skills
keeping a straight
practice,
face,
and
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, I remember that.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations too. Because you were my therapist for some of our skills practice, weren't you? So
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
an overlap. But it wasn't about him going away for work. It was about my insecurities, and my therapist really helped me kind of recognize um, that I had a choice here. I could either continue to be insecure and look for someone else, who didn't travel for work, or I could lean into what she could obviously see was a really good relationship, and kind of learn how to sit with myself and learn how to be alone, when he was away for work, or learn how to be like, you're back now, can we do this, this, and this? Because I'd always
Mm,
have that cliche thing that we see on telly, like, oh, you've just come back from work, so you're going to come running through the door, and we're going to make passionate love, and then we're going to go on a date night. And then the reality is, they get through the door sweaty because they've been on a plane, not wanting to touch or speak to anyone, not wanting to do anything.
mhm.
So, I had to learn and almost be taught by my therapist, that, why don't you say in a few days, let's go for a date night, or let's do this, let's do that. She kind of encouraged me quite a lot, uh, to use that communication. And that came up from class as well, when it was like, oh, talking
Yeah,
works. Asking for your needs to be met works. Would you believe it? Provided
yeah.
you're asking it from someone who wants that reciprocal relationship with you,
That
and who's
part. Yeah,
also asking you for something back. So yeah, sure, we can go on a
yeah,
date. Could we do this the day after?
yeah,
I guess it's like a bit of negotiation, within a relationship.
yeah.
Therapy's really
Mhm.
taught me the power of that.
Yeah. Gosh, that part about the romanticizing what would happen, I
Yeah.
think we can all um resonate with that because we are raised in a society, in a world that romanticizes, glorifies, idealizes relationships to a kind of dangerous degree. Because, and I put this in one of my posts recently, we have these unrealistic expectations of what a relationship should be, and how we expect our partner to be in relationship with us. And I think it's even worse now that we have access to things like social media and we are witnessing very like curated images and pictures of the lives of others and others' relationships. And we don't get to see the full color spectrum of what people's relationships are really like. Because you're right, you might expect that, he's going to come running home with like some flowers and chocolates, be like,
Yeah,
I missed you so much. But really, he's fucking tired.
exactly. Yeah, which makes
He's
perfect,
tired.
as I
Yeah,
would be too. Yeah.
he's tired, might just want to chill. So that comes up a lot in client work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've also had to work through some of that myself, this idealization of what things should be, what your partner should know. They should just know this.
Mm.
Why are they not doing that? Surely you would just know that. Surely this is common sense. But for some people, it's not. We're all
Mm.
very different. We have different backgrounds, histories, experiences. And so that means that some people don't know what
Mm.
you expect or would want. I think
Mm.
there is a foundation or a kind of baseline, and I'm not speaking about harmful dynamics. But I think once you're past harm and your basic needs are being met, when you're thinking about the kind of sprinkles on top and the cherries, I think we need to manage our expectations there and also talk about things, as you said.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you notice this within client work, and I really try and hold the client in this moment. But when new relationship started, whether it be romantic or a friendship, or a reconnection to a family member, um, when the initial spark goes or the honeymoon stage, and something happens, and they've been let down by the partner. And in my mind, or the friend or the family member, in my mind, I'm trying to hold. Yes, this is difficult, but that's also human. Humans let us down. Our loved ones let us down.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
the people we're married to let us down. That is just part of being human.
Hmm.
Where the powerful thing comes in is being able to talk about that, and
Mm.
recognizing this has happened. How can we move through it? I guess it's like rift and repair is expected in therapy, because that's a
Yeah.
relationship. It's expected in, um, all of our relationships as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I sometimes it feels like in society we've got to a point where you've been wronged once and that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. One and done.
yeah,
That's it. You
yeah,
get one strike, you're out. And
yeah,
it's protection, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It comes from a place of wanting to be safe and not wanting to be hurt. But there is an element of, in order to experience things like love and
Mm.
care and affection, vulnerability has to be a part of it. And in vulnerability, there is a chance you will get hurt. That's not to say that everyone you love will hurt you,
Yeah.
but it's because you are having to access a really vulnerable part of you in order to have that love experience. Um, and it's difficult. It's difficult. So I've been rereading Why Do I Do That?
Yeah.
And I've just passed the chapter where it talks about splitting.
Mm.
And the author, who's a psychotherapist, talks about this chase for dopamine when it comes to romantic relationships and some people splitting their partners. So in the beginning, there's a novelty, it's all good. We don't see their humanness, we just see them on this pedestal and we're like, oh, they've made my life so amazing. Everything is sensational. And then they do one thing, now they're all bad and it's done. You said one and done. Done. They're the worst person in the world. They're the villain. They hate me. I can't believe they've done this. And it's so polarized that we have forgotten that life is very grey. We
Mm.
don't know how to tolerate the middle anymore. And I know I'm generalizing, but I think it's something that we see a lot, in clients, in our personal lives, with family, friends. And I think it's a real issue. It's a real issue. And I think it's damaging our relationships.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and just damaging human connection as well. uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's why therapy, I think, is so powerful when, it's used for communication, it's used for relationship dynamics. If anything, that's more what I work with these days. Is not so much the
Mhm.
anxiety or the depression or the common mental health problems. It's, I'm struggling with this relationship, or I want to reconnect with this person.
Mhm.
It's about, like you mentioned defenses. All of this is understandable because all of the reasons that anyone does anything is because of our unconscious defenses. And so the therapy becomes about unpicking that defense. Is it still needed? If it is still needed, how can we work with it? There's a lot of exploration to go on.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. How do you think? Uh, or do you use parts of your experience in relationship in your personal life in the therapy room? Like, how does that translate for you?
I think I definitely will bring it up. There will be parts of my personal relationship with my husband that might come up when I'm working with people that have a long distance relationship. Because the
Okay.
first year of mine was long distance.
Yeah.
I'm talking different countries. Um, so I think, and so communication is a thing that saved that and made that work. So I do bring that in, and I might even self-disclose that if people are struggling with a long distance relationship that they really want to continue. I
Mhm.
do get curious with them about how do they keep their communication up. When do they plan the times that they are able to meet? Um, what the long term plan is. I do often ask that as well. Is this going to be a long
Yeah.
term relationship for 20 years? Then what would that be like? Or is this just needing to get through a couple of years?
Mhm.
And maybe with anything with relationships, reminding them that we've got plenty of time. Your relationship doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning, and it certainly won't.
Yeah.
If you want this to be a long term relationship, you've got potentially, 10, 20, 30, 40 years to figure out how to be with each other. Um,
Mhm.
so pace yourself. If it's
Yeah.
long distance for a couple of years, it's long distance for a couple of years.
Mhm.
What will the
Yeah.
next years be after that? Or maybe that couple of years is going to get in the way of other things that the client wants, and then what does that mean for the relationship? It's not just about bringing people together, is it? Therapy, that I feel like I'm sounding like, it's like, how do we make a relationship work? Any sort of relationship work. Sometimes, maybe a lot of the times, I think our work and my work can be about how does this relationship end, as
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
in the healthiest way possible. You know, is
Yeah.
is this the relationship that I actually expected or wanted or needed?
Yeah.
All the caveats of like danger and risk and um, big abuse, little
Mhm.
abuse, toxic behavior. There's all of that sort of stuff. I was like, oh, hang on, is this right?
Yeah. And I think to generalize for a second, people really struggle with that. The
Mm,
not knowing, not having a concrete answer.
mm,
And it feels like people search externally outside of themselves for the concrete answer.
mm,
Is my relationship okay?
mm,
He does this.
mm,
Is it okay for him to do this? Kind of externally searching for what their own standards are.
mm,
And I think what you said is beautiful because we should be creating our own. It should be what feels right for us. It shouldn't be what someone else has said or what someone else's relationship looks like. Everyone's relationship is very unique. And what we like and what feels good and healthy for us, with all of the caveats that you have just described, um, is what is right and feels healthy for us, right? Outside of abuse and outside of overfunctioning and relational imbalance, where one person is doing all of the stuff and the other person isn't doing anything. But it's a complex topic that everyone can relate to,
mm,
whether
yeah,
it's romance, friendship, family, where you're all in relationships and trying to navigate them and maintain them.
mm, yeah,
And it's hard, it's challenging, but I
yeah,
think it requires attention.
definitely.
That's, I think, especially in romantic relationships,
Mm,
you can't just enter into a romantic relationship. This is my opinion anyway, and think we're so in love.
mm,
That's it.
mm,
Because love has to be maintained.
mm,
You are not going to be in love forever just because you love this
mm,
person in like 2021.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have to, both of you will proactively have to work and
mm,
maintain and review the relationship the same way like you have a job. Not saying a relationship is a job, but in a very similar way, if you just entered into a job, it's very unlikely that you're going to progress if you don't review what am I doing here and how is it working, right? If you want a promotion, you're going to have to think about what do I need to do to sustain this? What do I need to do to get to the next level? I feel like it's quite similar to a relationship.
mm,
You're both changing and evolving as people. It's
mm,
important that you come together and you have points in time in the relationship where you can speak about and communicate, like how is this for you?
yeah,
Like how am I doing?
mm,
Can I tell you how you're doing? These are the things that really irritate me right now about this relationship. Like it's important that there are some kind of informal or formal reviews about what this is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I think
And
we're scared to do that.
definitely, yeah. And
Yeah.
that can hold people back a lot because there's that risk of what if they don't like it. Um,
Yeah.
again with therapy, it's kind of encouraging people of maybe they won't. Maybe they won't like it. Maybe it means that you figure out that you're not compatible anymore. Um,
Mm,
but is that the better choice than another 5 years of you experiencing or what you're experiencing?
yeah, yeah.
And I think as well, it kind of I try to remind people that even though it's really difficult when relationships come to an end, you can still cherish what you've had. You know, some people break up and they're like, oh, it's such a failure. We got divorced. We were only married for 3 years. You were married. You had a period of time where you loved each other.
Hmm.
We can't, I think it was like an interview I saw with Louis Theroux or something, and he was saying how like marriage and long-term relationships, they were made when we were living to like 40. So if you were agreeing to be in a relationship with one for the rest of your life, you're looking at 20 or 30 years. We're
Mm.
going up to 70 these 70, 80 these,
Yeah.
so it's okay that if you could have 3 20 years relationships and they could be absolutely
Mhm.
beautiful relationships for 20 years. Try to remind
Yeah.
people that it's like just because something's coming to an end doesn't mean it was time wasted. You lived a
Mm.
life with this person and it might have been the beautiful life, but if your paths have diverged because humans are complicated,
Yeah.
that's part of the journey.
Yeah, yeah. And we evolve as people,
Yeah.
and sometimes we want different things, and that's okay.
Mm.
Sometimes the best option is for us to detach at this point, and not be connected romantically. And I think it's a really good point that you mentioned that it's important for us to reframe things, and also understand that every single relationship that we are in is an opportunity to learn about ourselves. As fluffy as that sounds, and as annoying as that sounds, I think we can all agree that relationships are difficult because it's confronting. We're confronting who we are as a person, especially in romantic relationships. Is you learn a lot about yourself, and it can be very difficult. So to see a relationship that is no more, there are lots of opportunities to understand who you are, who you want to be, what you want and what you don't want in your future relationships. It's
With the
important
truth.
to at least have that meaning in the experience that you have had with someone,
Mm.
because there will be something there if you're open to seeing it.
Yeah.